to schedule. Oh my gosh. You crazy cats? I'm trying to film a video here. Hey everybody, it's Casey here. So it is Saturday, August 13th, which means that yes, I am past my due date. Baby girl's due date was yesterday, August 12th. So I'm 40 weeks and 1 day pregnant. Let's start off with the belly shot. Okay, there is the 40-week belly for you guys. So I had my 40-week appointment yesterday and it didn't exactly go as I was hoping or as planned. I don't know how to say it exactly, but I'll just explain. So my doctor, she has me lay down. She measures my belly, checks for position, and listens to the heartbeat, which is like, those are the first few things she always does. She leaves and goes and gets the nurse to have a helping hand to check me. And so she's like, okay, I'm gonna go get the nurse and then we'll come back and I'll check you and we'll talk about a plan. Like she kind of like was like, obviously you're 40 weeks, let's talk about a plan moving forward if baby doesn't come out. I was like, okay, perfect, I can't wait, because I had all sorts of questions and things I wanted to talk to her about. So she comes back in and she's checking me, and literally as she's like has her fingers in me like measuring, she gets a phone call, and she has the nurse answer it, and I didn't even think anything of it at first, and then I realized that, oh, she's getting called to the hospital to deliver a baby. So she answers it and she's kind of not flustered, but she's rushing, and she's like, okay, I'm on my way. And she looks at me and she kind of gives me one of those looks that's like, I'm sorry, I have to go. And so, but then she said, you're about 2 centimeters dilated, can I call you? And I said, sure. And so she peaced out, obviously, which did make me feel good, because if I were the one in labor, I would want her to rush away from whatever she was doing also. But as soon as she left, it kind of took me a second to realize, well, crap, like I had so many questions I wanted to ask her at my 40-week appointment. Like I wanted to talk about maybe scheduling an induction, possibly talk about stripping my membranes, all these things, right? Like I just wanted to, I thought that we would talk for like a good 10 minutes, okay? And then that was all just taken away from me. And I know it was out of my control, it was out of her control. But at the time I was pretty upset, and I'm sorry to my mom and my husband. I probably should have calmed down before I called them, but I was a little bit hysterical and upset, because I had just really anticipated that appointment, and looking forward to getting some type of plan set so that there was like a light at the end of the tunnel for me, because this week has been pretty emotional. There's been lots of ups and downs, and I am happy that I made it to full term, but at the same time, I also am kind of over being pregnant, you guys. I can't even lie. Looking back, I was probably being dramatic, but it was just kind of like, it was just really bad luck, because that had not happened yet at all in any of my appointments. And it was like the one appointment where like I really wanted to like talk to my doctor a little bit more, and I know there are much worse things that could have happened, but I was upset. And I've had a few people tell me that I should talk to my doctor about getting my membranes stripped, and I had no idea what the heck that meant. So I did a little bit of research, found out that it's sort of like a manual way of losing your mucus plug. The doctor goes in like while she's checking you, and kind of moves the water sac away from the cervix. Is that right? I don't know exactly what the technical term, how it works technically, but it's a way that's supposed to, it's a more natural way of possibly jump-starting labor. So, and I think it has a pretty high success rate. I've heard that it's quite uncomfortable, somewhat painful. But I was just thinking, well, if this is like another thing I can do before I have to actually be induced and, be on Pitocin and everything like that, maybe I could look into it, maybe I could talk to my doctor about it. So she did call me. She probably called me like 2 hours after I got home. And, she's like, I'm sorry that I had to leave you. And I'm like, you don't have anything to be sorry for. It's your job. But we just kind of were talking, and she said, so what are you thinking about being induced, not being induced, you know, where's your head at? Because I had told her, like I mentioned in the videos, that I would rather go into labor on my own up to a certain point. So I said, well, I'd actually wanted to talk to you about stripping my membranes as something to happen, you know, to help labor happen before induction. And she said, okay, that's totally fine, we can do that. And I had actually I'd already called and scheduled it just in case I decided to go through with it. So the earliest time I could get was Tuesday afternoon. And then, so I told my doctor that I had scheduled it, and she said, okay, good. And I told her that I did still want to schedule an induction. And maybe it's more of like a psychological thing, like, I don't know, having that date in mind. I'm like, okay, there's an end date at least. Like, if I don't go into labor in the next 4 days, at least there's like a point where I know that we will get the process actually medically going and like be able to, you know, meet our baby. And my doctor had also mentioned how she really doesn't want me to go past 41 weeks because at that point, in that 42nd week, there's more risks for baby, for mom. I would have to come in multiple times that week to be monitor baby's heart rate. I know that the risk of stillbirth goes up at a certain point. So I don't know, that worries me, obviously. And it's not even like me being uncomfortable. I mean, it's partially that, but me being uncomfortable is obviously trumped by risks for baby. So when she said that, it made me feel a little bit better about my decision to go ahead with induction. And Drew and I had obviously talked about it a lot and just decided that it was best for us. And my doctor had also assured me that my body's ready to have this baby. I mean, I'm 2 centimeters dilated. She actually didn't get to tell me how effaced I was at the appointment. You know, last time I was 85%, so I assume I'm around there, if not a little bit more. My cervix is nice and thin, you know, obviously. Sorry, I keep messing with my hair. I know somebody commented about that in one of my videos, and I'm sorry. Baby's head is like super low. She's ready to come out. My body's ready. So my doctor didn't see an issue at all with me being induced. Like, say if I was baby was breech and I was just like, hadn't progressed at all, you know, it might be a different conversation. But she really made me feel like it was okay. She's not a doctor to push me at all, so she really wanted me to come to the decision on my own, but I think she was also wanting to just assure me that it was an okay decision. So I scheduled an induction for Wednesday, and it's August 17th, and she told me that I would, you know, if I don't go into labor before then, it would be a morning induction, because she said since you are somewhat progressed, I don't see you having to come in overnight or anything. So we're going to go to the hospital at 7 a.m. to get things going, and I'll get hooked up to Pitocin and see how things go from there. So that is scheduled. I know a lot of you might not agree with being induced, but it was just, I think it's different for every person. You have to come to a decision that's right for you. So at this point, baby's fully developed. It's not like I'm 38 weeks and, you know, there's still 2 more weeks until my due date. Like, I'll be 40 weeks and 5 days at that point. So I also wanted to say, though, that I really thought I was going into labor so many times this week, you guys. Not because of contractions or anything, but because of, like, other weird things. So today's Saturday, so last Sunday, almost a week ago, that actually kind of even during church, I started to feel really, like, achy and just kind of sick. And I did actually have a super strong, not necessarily super painful, but like a really strong contraction during church. Like, my belly was just rock hard for like 20 seconds, and like on the lower half of my stomach. And like I said, afterwards I just kind of started to feel a little bit achy, and then like just, I don't know, that feeling you get when you're getting sick, you know what I mean? And just super sore neck and back and throat, and just my body hurt. So plus, sorry for TMI, but I had quite a few BMs that day, like 4 by 1 o'clock or something, which is unusual for me. And they were kind of loose. So that those 2 things in mind, I was like, I wonder if this is like my body kind of getting prepared to go into labor, because I've heard that diarrhea can be a sign. And then I had mentioned the achiness to my mom and Drew's mom and my sister, and they all said, oh, Casey, that's like a sign. So I was like getting maybe wrongfully excited, thinking that things were maybe going to start progressing. And then I just felt like crap for 3 days. Like, what? So I don't know if I was actually sick or what was going on, if maybe I was starting the labor process and it's just like a really slow thing. But on Tuesday night it was really bad. My whole back was just super sore, so I was like, oh my gosh, am I having back labor? Like, what's going on? But I haven't had any regular contractions. I have had some painful contractions, but I've only had like 1 or 2 in a row, and that's been it. So, and still tons of Braxton Hicks all over the place. So also something I wanted to say that has transpired in the last like 12 hours, I guess. So I did have a little bit of bleeding after she checked me yesterday, and I know that's normal. She actually, the first time I was checked, she goes, you might have some bleeding, but she always says as long as it's red to brown to gone within 24 hours, you know, or you're like soaking through multiple pads, there's no reason to call me or to worry. So, but like I said, I haven't, or maybe I didn't say this, but I have not bled yet after her checking me up to this point. So I did come home and notice blood, and it really quickly turned to brown, so I wasn't worried. But then last night I noticed, sorry, this is going to be TMI for some of you who are not pregnant or haven't been pregnant, but I noticed some discharge that was different, and it was goopy and long and like stringy. Sorry for those words, like those are disgusting, but it is what it is. And I was like, am I losing my mucus plug? Like, is this what's happening right now? And I kind of was like, well, it was really dark brown, like old blood, and what I've read about losing your mucus plug is it's like a light pink in color, and it can range in color, of course, but like more commonly it's like a light pink or whatever. And then today I had more of that same stuff, even more than I had last night, but I had it again. I was like, okay, I think this has got to be something, because I haven't had this at all during my pregnancy. I actually texted my sister-in-law, who's a nurse practitioner and used to work in an OB, and then one of my best friends has been a labor and delivery nurse before. She's not at the moment, but she was for a while, and she still works in OB, so she is a great resource. And I texted both of them, and they said that that's probably what it was. So I'm pretty sure I lost my mucus plug, you guys. So I mean, that's like, you know, it's more progression, I suppose. Oh, I don't think I said, but I did tell you guys that I scheduled to get my membrane stripped, but I have since decided I'm not going to, because it just seems sort of pointless for me at this point. Well, especially now, since I could be losing my mucus plug, number one. But my appointment's at like 3:45 on Tuesday afternoon, and I'm getting induced the following morning. So I'm like, what? I mean, it could really kickstart labor like within the next few hours or something. I've heard it might take days. So I'm like, what's the point of doing it if I'm just ultimately getting induced the next morning, and I don't want to waste the money on it and things like that. So I've decided not to do that. Sorry that was such a long update, you guys, but this is like, it's a video diary for me to look back on and for you guys to enjoy and, you know, relate to. I'll see you in my next video, and I'm thinking that like it'll be with a baby. I don't know, crazy. I mean, and it could happen anytime before Wednesday, which I'm still hoping and praying for, but if not, Wednesday she'll be here. I'm so excited. Okay, you guys, I'll see you in my next video.